Welcome to Transmissions, where we talk all Hasbro, Takara, and third-party Transformers. On this episode, we talk about the unfortunate layoffs Hasbro announced, some reveals from the MCM Comic Con in London, and what Hasbro showed off at their 1027 event on Sunday. Today is Wednesday, October 30th, 2024, and this is episode 614 of Transmissions.
Welcome to Transmissions, the podcast that's got new window packaging. I'm your host, Jeremy, aka Yakko, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team of Char, aka Robopolo.
Hi, everyone. Let's talk Transformers.
Awesome. Yeah, so the rest of the team is all indisposed this week. They're all traveling, doing stuff. Next week, Charles and Daryl are at TFCon. So it's going to be a fun couple weeks for me, having to push all the buttons and do everything. And so if anything goes wrong, blame Charles and Daryl for not being here to keep me on line.
You've got this, Jeremy. We believe in you.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll start off the show as we always do by thanking our Donatreons, who are the awesome people that support the show and keep the lights on. And if you would like to join them and become a Donatreon, you can go to transmissionspodcast.com/support. And there you can get a lot of great things, like you can watch us record the show live every week. We have, looks like 4 people now. So that's pretty good number for us. We'd like it to be up higher. So, if you're a Donatreon, check us out. We'll post the links in Discord. Usually we post them on Patreon, but that's something Charles does, and I just always forget. So it's his fault. But anyway, join us live on Sunday nights if you're a Donatreon. And then also you can get great exclusives like the show We Like Big Butts, which is done by Daryl and Dr. Pants. They take some characters where they have large figures of in their collection, and they talk about them and go through all the different iterations of those figures. So it's really cool. There are 14 episodes up now, and I imagine they will be doing more at some point in the future, especially with some stuff that we have to discuss later on today. All right. Also, you can, as a Donatron, you can get access to uncut episodes of Empire of Rust, which is our live play RPG podcast. Every other week, Donatrons get the uncut versions, and then the edited versions go live on transmissionspodcast.com/rust and wherever you get your podcasts. The bonus uncut episode of episode 127, Rake Us to Your Leader, is available now. And the regular version of that episode is going to be available next week on November 4th at transmissionspodcast.com/rust. We also still have issues of our Transformers #1 comic from Skybound, which has cover art by EJ Sue. You can go to transmissionspodcast.com/comic and pick that up. Or if you're going to be at TFCon Baltimore, Charles and Daryl will have some with them. And I believe Jimmers from Distortion Productions is letting us have some on his table. So you can, in the vendor room, you should be able to find some there as well. So if you want to pick that up, that's probably one of the best way. And just check it out. It is still a great deal, better than you would find on eBay for the same cover. And then finally, time is running out to use our October code at toyhacks.com. You can save 15% by using the code Octobots. It is good through October 31st, which is, by my estimation, tomorrow. So use that code, get the 15% off. It can be used with your Robo Points, but cannot be used or combined with other discounts and promotions. And for November, we're not sure yet. We haven't heard back what they're going to do, but we suspect, as in previous years, they'll be running a Black Friday sale. If they do, we won't get a code. So we'll let you know next week what what's going on there. But I mean, if they're running a Black Friday sale, that's going to be probably better than 15%. All right. So with all that stuff out of the way, let's get into some toy news with some quick hits. And we're starting off with some bad news. Hasbro has laid off some workers. I think most stories I've seen say it's between 50 to 100, or probably close to 100 people. And they're also going to be moving their headquarters from Pawtucket, Rhode Island to the Boston area. So Hasbro has been in Rhode Island for over 100 years. All of this is also related to reorganization and the fact that in their third quarter earnings call that they had right when this layoff news came out, revenue was $1.3 billion, but that was down 15% since last year. They are pointing to the sale of the E1 film studio for that loss. They sold that at a great loss. And I've saw in the story that their employee count has gone from 1,400 full-time employees in 2023 to 1,000 now. I'm not sure how much of that 1,000 was related to the E1 sale and how much was layoff, but we know over the last couple of years, or like I think in January and then now, they've done layoffs. So that's clearly a good amount of that. One high note on this was that their gaming and licensing business, which includes things like Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Monopoly, and Play-Doh, are all doing good. And then Transformers had a 5% growth this year. So that's a bright spot, that the Transformers continues to be a strong point in their portfolio. But then another sad note in this, if I can get my right browser window here, is that John Morden was one of the unfortunate people that got laid off from Hasbro. And he had recently rejoined the Transformers team. And he was head of the Transformers division for years. He's worked on the franchise for many years, and he'd been with Hasbro for 25 years. So, really sad losing someone like him. That this was, from all the interviews I've seen, this was his dream job, working for a company like Hasbro. So hopefully, he does find something in the toy space that, where he can continue to do what he loves. But it's really sad for all involved. So Char, what are your thoughts on the whole layoff situation?
Well, first I want to say to the people that got laid off, I'm really sorry to hear that you got laid off. I know that's you know, layoffs are very tough, and it's you're not planning on getting laid off, and it seems like this was just a business decision, because according to their revenue was down 15% last year, it looks like. So but it still sucks. So my heart goes out to people who have been laid off, and in the people who are still remaining at the company. I know that's really rough, when you have colleagues that you've worked with for years that get let go. So just want to know, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, these are decisions out of our control, and I have a lot of thoughts though about this. It's I find it really interesting that they're moving their headquarters from Rhode Island, where they've been over 100 years, to Boston. And I don't understand that as a business decision unless if it's like there's some sort of tax advantage or something like that by moving
Yeah,
over there. What do you think,
I don't know. I
Jeremy?
mean, I can't imagine that it'd be any less expensive in Boston than in Rhode Island.
Mhm.
I mean, it it might be more logistics. Like maybe it's easier to fly into Boston than Rhode Island. I'm sure that's the case, but also everything is so close up there. It's not hard to to drive from one place to another up there. Um,
Mhm.
it
Um,
there's got to be some like tax deal. I'm sure that Massachusetts is giving them to move.
yeah. But, this is like, to me, a very disruptive decision to the remaining employees at
Hmm.
Hasbro, because they're going to have to uproot their lives wherever they're, if they're living on Rhode Island, which I'm assuming that a good majority of the people that work for Hasbro do. They're going to have to now move to Boston. The cost of living might be more expensive there.
Hmm.
Like, is Hasbro going to pay for the remaining employees to be relocated?
Yeah,
So, you know, um, are they going to increase wages for people if it is more expensive to live in Boston? Like, I mean, there's just, um, they could be moving, maybe they're moving the headquarters too. So some people choose to leave, and they don't have to, reduce the force more, too, you know. Um, and I'd like to think that the people they did lay off, that they gave them a good severance package. I'd like to hope that they did that
yeah.
they
I
took
mean,
good care of
hopefully
these
they did.
employees. I don't think most people go into working for Hasbro as you know, like not being attached to the work, especially like John Warden. It was his dream to always work on Transformers. And I imagine that most of the people that work at Hasbro, it was their dream to work for that company and to work
Hmm.
for the franchises that they care about. So, um, so it's just, it's very complicated and it's sad, and, um, I just hope that the people who remain at the company, are able to be taken care of.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to a happier topic.
Yeah.
So,
Yay, Starscream.
yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to move on to some happier topics. So, this is the Yellow Park AMK Pro G1 Starscream in hand images. So, we're looking at a picture of him here. Starscream's posed with his fist up in the air, and there's the lovely box art. It looks like it's a line art drawing of him, and it's shiny, which is really cool. So, yeah, so what's really cool about the YOLO Park figures, which I do have 4 now, and I will be showing those later on the show. I guess I should have said spoiler alert, but there you go, is that, you know, they're really cool because they 'cause they're like little model kits when you get them, and you have to build them. Um, and we're looking at pictures of the box art. So there's a picture of Starscream in color there, and it looks like he's kind of flying in his robot mode towards the viewer. So these specific ones are cartoon accurate, and they do have the Yellow Park figures have a wide range of posability. The Starscream has die cast parts. He comes with several extra accessories, some lights, and premium finishing. And of course, he's the first Seeker, so if they're making him, you will most likely get Thundercracker and Skywarp because, it's just a recolor.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, this looks very accurate to the G1 cartoon. It looks very similar to the Masterpiece figure in his alt mode. Um, yeah, he comes with 3 swappable faces, a flight stand, and 2 big blast effects. And there he is, happy. There's one of his
Yeah.
other faces. There's his back. And also just to make a note, and you can see the articulation, like he's bending at the waist there, and you can see his back strut, and there's like two pipes or something out of his back. Like that's really cool. These are non-transforming Transformers, I want to add. I didn't say that in the beginning. Oh, and there's him holding his faces. So, and he looks very happy. And there he is with his mouth closed, holding the other faces. Um,
Um,
ooh,
uh,
that's
looks like that's how you change the faces out.
yeah, yeah. So it's like it's Helm with his eyes and without any faces on there, and it looks like it comes with a mini screw.
Well, that's looks like a battery for the lights.
Oh yeah, that's for the lights. So his eyes must light up then. So, um, but yeah, no, it's really articulated. You can get it for $49.99 on Yellow Park's website. So if you are a Starscream fan like I am, you should add this to your collection. And I do like the Yellow Park figures. I own 4 now, and I'll share more thoughts later on in the show and the trips to the store section. But yeah, and we're looking at this final, I guess it's the final image of Starscream with all the accessories that he
Mhm.
comes with in the stand.
Yeah, I'm wondering. It looks like some of the paint is like chipped or weathered, and
Hmm.
if that's just part of the design, it. I mean, it looks really, really good, but I'm just wondering if that's the intended look.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, because I've seen pictures of this before and I'm not sure. So I'm just gonna buy it and see like if
Hmm.
it comes battle damaged, because the other Yellow Park figures I have are clean. They showed up with no battle damage. So um but yeah, this is a really cool figure. So if you want a
Cool.
cartoon accurate Starscream that you don't care transforms or not, and it doesn't have the price tag of the masterpiece, this is more affordable. This is your figure.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely need to pre-order it because I think Yellow Park's doing a deal now where if you spend, I think it's like $150, you get a few things free. So I thought I saw that on Twitter. So there's a few more things I gotta pick up from
Yep.
them.
All right. Next up, we have this is coming from JT Prime 17. The leaker extraordinaire. Um, he is letting people know that the um, Studio Series Widowmaker, who was a character from the 4th movie, is that Dark of the Moon? I think.
Ye- Um,
I believe
I
the Age of
think so.
Extinction.
Yeah, Age of
Okay,
Extinction.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a character that I think was on screen briefly, but didn't have any lines, and they had a toy. But apparently, because of similarly named character in Overwatch, they're having to change the name of this figure because Overwatch also has figures, I'm sure. But it's going to be now called KSI Widow on the packaging. So no other changes, just changing the name on the packaging because of that. And I'm sure that's not going to be a huge deal for most people because it's it's a live action. I mean, so it's just it wasn't an on screen like a major character, so it's an easy change. If it was like a Bumblebee or something, that would be much different. All right.
Yeah. So MCM Comic Con happened and has brought a lot of Transformers reveals. So we have Studio Series BBM Bumblebee movie Deluxe Bumblebee. We have Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Voyager Optimus Prime, which is a repack. We have Studio Series Rise of the Beast leader Ape Link. Which I saw a lot of excitement about that on Twitter. We have Studio Series 86 Deluxe Jazz, which is a repack. We also have these are all Studio Series figures. So the Dark of the Moon Deluxe Q, and then we have Studio Series War for Cybertron Voyager Ironhide, Studio Series Age of Extinction leader Optimus Prime, and Studio Series Dark Side of the Moon leader Shockwave, which is a repack. So lots of reveals. I think that's really exciting, especially if people missed out on getting like Studio Series 86 Jazz. It's a good figure. I think it's nice when they give collectors another chance to get stuff, rather than, your one shot and that's it, especially given, the last few years with distribution issues and things like that and things not showing up or and whatnot. So, and then it looks like there's more. Yeah, so there's more. So we have the HasLab Omega Prime reveal. There's pictures here on this shelf here. There's this is from the Hasbro Transformers cabinet at the MCM Comic Con in London. So here's a closer look at the HasLab Omega Prime. It has Optimus Prime, Ultra Magnus, and Blue Bolts, who's shown first, and later the combined Omega Prime mode.
I'm not sure what that is.
And he's holding that Matrix blade, which is really cool. Yeah, this is really cool. Now I'm bummed I didn't back this. Remember, we talked about this on the show before, and I decided not to back it. So
that's the problem with the HasLab. The FOMO.
The FOMO. Now seeing this in person or pictures of this, the finished version, it looked super cool. So all you who backed it, you did the right thing. That was the right choice. Now I really wish I would have backed it, but that's okay. I can enjoy looking at pictures of them.
Maybe in a few years they'll do a repaint of it for more mainline release. That'll be like the yellow Prime and the other colors for Magnus.
Yeah, it's exactly. So so we're looking at the picture, the combined mode, the Omega Prime mode. Looks like we're getting some chat in the chat. So we also have Studio Series Transformers 1 Bumblebee. We've got Studio Series Transformers 1 Alita 1. There's also the Mandalorian and Transformers crossover of the N1 Starfighter. We've also got the Studio Series Gamer Edition Skywarp, Studio Series 86 Galvatron, which this toy looks like it's just a redone. It's the same one that's been released several times now, just in a different color, different shade of purple. And then we've got Studio Series Dark Side of the Moon Hatchet, and then Studio Series Rise of the Beast Double Punch. So there's also some redecos and some official Transformers 40th anniversary coins. So there's a lot of exciting reveals. So I know people are really excited about the HasLab, and people are excited about Hatchet. I saw a lot of excitement about that on the internet. A lot of cool reveals. These conventions always have really cool stuff to show off and gets the word out there about these figures.
Yep. And we have something else that was from Sunday, October 27th, their 1027 event, which I learned from watching this that it's also their address. It's like 1027 whatever street, which I guess that's going to change. But the Transformer segment here was hosted by Nate from marketing and Evan, one of the designers, and then Mark Mayer also had a segment introducing the 2025 line and the Megatronus figure. So we're going to talk about that first. That was it's obviously going to be a pre-tool for the Studio Series 86 Megatron. I think that's what everyone is thinking. But Megatronus is amazing looking, in my opinion. He's a tank. Um, then he's got flames everywhere, and they're going with the lore that the Energon is so hot it catches on fire or something like that. But all the flaming Energon are all blast effects. Here's a close up of the robot mode. It just looks really good. They did say that there were influences from like the Fallen and Dreamwave, which is where he was originally introduced as. But then some of the newer things like from Transformers 1. But I think this looks so good. And then let's go to his
Yeah.
oh, and then he has the symbol also. I believe that was from the Power of the Primes line. That he has his Megatronus symbol.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a close up of the tank mode. There we go. So the tank mode looks really good. Um, his arm cannon becomes the tank cannon as they usually do, but just the way that those blast effects of the flames just kind of curve around, just it looks really cool. The blacks and the purple, it all works really well together. And then his spear that he has attaches to the side. Oh, and I just remember they mentioned like his cannon. They're calling it the Requiem Blaster, which is a nice name from past series and stuff to bring in. So I really like that. So really cool seeing this. And then Mark also and there was someone eating lunch when they were recording that.
That was
or working.
funny.
Yeah.
That was really funny. They just like filmed it in the break room.
So he also showed off the 2025 packaging here. So the Age of the Primes line, that's the name of it. And so Megatronus is one of the 13. So it looks like they're going to have the primes kind of in their own category. But you can see they're back to the boxes with the clear plastic window, which is amazing. We're not going to have any more beheaded Transformers.
Yay.
And then the side of it is going to have picture of some of the primes as like golden statues. And you can see here, I'm not sure what the one in the front is, but the one in the back, you can see Liege Maximo with his horns. And this line, I think, is just going to be so much fun. I imagine all of the primes are going to be leader class. This one is for sure. So that will be, or that was up for pre-order on Monday, the 28th. And I think they said it's going to come out in April.
Yeah. And this is a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, correct?
Well, the pre-orders were. I imagine it's the main line, so it's going to come out everywhere.
Okay.
So, so pre-orders were. I'm sure they're gone now.
Yeah.
So on to Evan and Nate, and they were showing off as promised. Studio Series 86 Devastator, and they started off with showing off Scrapper. This looks really good. It's shorter or a little smaller than the Combiner Wars Constructicons, but Scrapper is looking really nice. They did say in another video that we'll have linked from the Toys R Us channel, got to record with Evan at MCM Comic Con. for release after this reveal, of some kind of hands-on with it. And Evan did say that they're still working on the shade of green, so I think it's gonna be a little bit darker, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But Scrapper is he's got like ankle articulation, elbows, waist, and they did say that this figure is not going to be like what we were speculating in the past with how Minosaur was. Minosaur was basically a skeleton that you then plug the figures onto. This is going to be no cheating from what they're saying. Um, so you can see Scrapper next to Minosaur. He's almost to the waist. I think Scrapper is a Voyager. Yeah, Scrapper is a Voyager, and then they're going to show off Bone Crusher next,
Mm-hmm.
who's a deluxe. So, and then they show off this little animation, which is really cool. Little stop motion animation showing the transformation. Thought that was really cool. They did it for all the Constructicons that they showed off. And here you can see him as the leg of Devastator. And um, I really like how this feels like in a more modern version of the G1, where you have the articulation and you have um, the size increase, but it still feels very true to the G1 figure.
Mm-hmm.
So next up we have Bone Crusher, and he's the arm or the upper arm. And here he is in person, and he looks pretty good too. Bone Crusher was never my favorite out of all the Constructicons to play with, but they all have knees, and that's a big help with someone like him, where his treads, basically his legs are just treads. But like I say, he's the deluxe, and here you can see Evan showing off, I think, the connection point for connecting into Devastator.
Yeah.
So they all come with blasters, and here you can see him next to the Studio Series 86 Prime. And I think scale was a big thing with this with Evan. Um, so let me get into where's they showed off a gray prototype of Devastator that I want to show. So here you can see what Devastator is going to look like. This thing looks really good in my opinion. Obviously, this is just a prototype, but just the detail. I mean, it looks fantastic. And the way they're going to ship this out is April 2025. Deluxe Bone Crusher comes out. Voyager Scrapper comes out. And pre-orders for those were also Monday. July 2025, at the Commander class price of $90, you're going to get Voyager Long Haul and Voyager Hook. And then September 2025, you're going to get Deluxe Scavenger and Voyager Mixmaster. So they're very cognizant of the fact that many people that got Minosaur missed out on the last figure, and they're really trying to make sure this comes out, in a reasonable amount of time. It does say the dates are subject to change. I mean, but that's the plan right now. And they also said they're not going to be repeating figures in the first few waves of this line. So if you miss out on one of these figures, you might be waiting a while to get a re-release. So, what do you think about all this?
Well, so in regards to Devastator, I'm ready for Devastator to devastate my wallet. Because I know like we'd reviewed the third party Devastators. I think it was either earlier this year or last year, and I kind of held back on buying them because I was like, well, Hasbro's going to be releasing it at some point, and I think this looks super cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be buying all these figures so I can make Devastator. Um, I personally wish they would just sell them in one pack together
Yeah.
so I don't have to hunt for them individually because, there might be one that's gonna be harder to get than others, which I don't know why. Like, you'd think everyone would wanna get a full set, but, yeah, I'm going to be getting this. So, yeah, I think just to echo your points earlier, I think the combined mode looks super cool. Um, I personally like how they look now. I know they're gonna punch up the green. I think that was the term they used
Hmm.
on the live stream, but I think they look great. It looks like they're fairly posable, and that a lot of engineering's involved to get it in the combined mode. So,
Yeah. And they
um,
did mention a gift set. They said that it's not going to be immediately. They want,
okay,
you know, these to come out at retail, but
yeah,
I could see them doing it at some point, but that's going to be, a couple $100. So
yeah.
that'll probably be an exclusive to some retailer and maybe even like a repaint. Um,
Yeah, and it might be even harder to get it, so I'm just gonna try to go for it and get them individually. So,
yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah,
And
and
then,
in oh, go ahead. I'm
okay, I was
sorry.
just going to say, Alex in the chat said that, recommended that pre-ordering is what you should do because you never know.
Yeah,
And I agree.
yeah, I'm gonna have to pre-order it. So, so yeah, and in regards to Megatronus, I'm gonna quote Sentinel from Transformers Prime. He's the coolest Prime, the baddest Prime, the strongest. So, I really want to get this Megatronus
Hmm.
figure. I hope it doesn't sell out before I can get a pre-order in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks super cool. I'm really excited about all these prime figures. We're gonna get the all 13, I'm assuming, so that's great.
Yeah. And really, my thoughts on the Devastator are that I like the Combiner Wars one, but mine had it had so many of the little bitty tabs, and mine had some that broke off, and that really disappointed me. This one seems like a much chunkier version of Devastator, so I'm really hoping it'll be a lot more sturdy in combined mode. So I'm planning on pre-ordering it. I've already cleared it with the wife, so I'm gonna try to get in on those pre-orders on Monday, and here's hoping. But yeah, and the Megatron is just fantastic.
Hmm.
All right, well, I think that wraps up our toy news. But yeah, we did link the Toys R Us video with Evan, kind of showing some in hands and showing off the packaging. All of these are going to have the plastic windows, and but they did kind of shrink the packaging a little. It looks like a smaller box, but it looks really nice. So check that out, and also all the pictures here from TFW is just really great.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'd like to add with the box stuff. I'm really glad that they're switching back to the plastic.
Yeah,
There's just been so much tampering with the figures and the package, the glass, not glass, plastic-less packaging,
yeah,
and I didn't like the closed boxes either. And um, I do think the design for these boxes are very simple, like just from a graphic design perspective. And they don't really fit into what was previously done before, but this looks to me like this is a lot easier to update,
hmm,
like in the production. Like, it's not as much like customizing that needs to be done with these boxes and their design versus the ones that they had previously when they
yeah,
had windows. Because we're looking at the images of the boxes now, they look very similar. um but I do think this is better still than with the no the no plastic.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, it's all our 20 news. So let's move on to some trips to the store.
The Transmissions Podcast will return after these messages.
And Trips to the Store is brought to you by our TeePublic store. Go to transmissionspodcast.com/TeePublic and you can get shirts, hoodies, hats, phone cases, all with some of our designs. Or you can buy anything from TeePublic on anyone's store. And if you go through our link, we get a little referral credit. I got our RID 2001 styled logo. And I see Char has our the good guy shirts. So
yep.
really cool. And they're always having sales as November is coming in, like I mentioned with Toy Hacks. Look out for Black Friday deals and pre-Black Friday deals and post-Black Friday deals. And, just take advantage of all that. All right. So I'm going to go first because I don't have anything new. But I thought with the whole Age of the Prime stuff, I was going to pull something out and show off. And that is my Covenant of Primus, which this is just the box. It's empty. But it has the Autobot logo I had in my old apartment on the wall. Sadly, it's supposed to make the transforming sounds when you open it up, and it didn't. I opened it up, saw that I forgot the batteries were in it, and one of them corroded, and kind of cleaning that up, it still didn't work. So I opened up the whole thing. There's corrosion all over the board. So I'm going to see if I can fix that. If not, it still looks good on the wall. This Autobot logo. I was a little sad to see that. But then it also has the book, which is the real Covenant of Primus. This goes into like the whole aligned continuity stuff that was Transformers Prime. It was supposed to go into live action movies, but the Fall of Cybertron, War of Cybertron, games and stuff. And this book just kind of goes into that as if Alpha Trion was the author. Alpha Trion was not the author. It was Justina Robson. But it has art in here. Let me get them all the names here. There. Ken Christensen, Livia Rimondelli, Emiliano Santa Lucia, and Casey Collar all contributed art to this, as well as there's some behind the scenes art from Activision for the games. But I mean, this book is just really great. Just visually, into some of the full page.
Wow.
There. So just really great art in it, but then just the story. I mean, like if the aligned continuity actually did work, and did tell a cohesive story, you're finding it in stuff like this, because when it got onto screen and everything, the creators just took it in their own directions. But it also kind of summarizes. I brought these off too. The novels that came out around that time, the Exiles, Exodus, Retribution novels. These were also supposed to be the aligned continuity, so it kind of summarizes a lot of what was in here. But I don't know. This is just kind of the fiction I want to revisit. But it's really interesting with the whole return to the Prime stuff with the Age of the Primes. I'm wondering if we're going to get some of these concepts back in the fiction. So we'll have to see. I know it won't be in the Skybound books because that's doing its own thing. But if hopefully we can get a new game or something.
Yeah.
But that's all I got.
No, thank you for sharing. That's really cool. Yeah, those novels. I have those novels. I haven't read them yet, so maybe I'll pick those up and read them.
They're actually not bad. There were novels around the Dreamwave era that were not that good, but these
Okay.
I enjoyed reading. I thought they were good.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool. Like, I do hope, that they do, it seems like the primes they've brought them back, like with the toy line and then Transformers 1, 2,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
maybe they will do more stuff with them. So that's really cool that you're going to revisit all of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for showing that. Um, so I actually have 4 things to show. Um, as I said earlier, I have YOLO Park figures. So I'm going to start off by showing Orion Pax. This is him in his cogless mode. So um, these are they call them model kits, but they're not really. Like, they do come in parts, but you just kind of put them together. And they're really fairly articulated. So, you can see him moving his legs. I can move his arms. He comes with a bunch of different hands, like 3 different hands. The head's kind of tough to move, but you can move it. But yeah, these are really cool. So there's Orion. Um, and then I'll show then his cogged mode. So this is him cogged. So a lot bigger figure. Um, this one I found was a little bit clunkier than the smaller one. Maybe I'm not just, it could be just because I'm not putting in the joints fully. I thought I did though. His ankles are a little loose, so I'm gonna have to play around with that some more. But it's a really cool figure. Um, for a non-transforming transformer. He supposedly comes with the Matrix, which doesn't really make sense because it's Orion Pax. It's not him as Optimus Prime, but it's supposed to be in here. But I couldn't pull the chest apart, so I do not know if it really did come with that or not. Um,
Hopefully.
yeah, or if the instructions are even accurate. Here's a size comparison between the two. So, um, D16 or not D16, Orion Pax is considerably smaller here, cogless versus cogged. So, if you were wondering about scale in the movie, like small to big, you know,
Yeah.
so there's that. I can't believe I called Orion Pax D16. So, oh well. And speaking of, here is D16 Cogless. This is really cool. The smaller ones I think are a little better quality than the bigger ones. But that's just my opinion. Let's see if I can get his face to focus. Come on, well, it's not going to
Yeah.
focus, but he's but it's they're really cool. So there's D16 cogless, and then here he is cogged. So um, considerably bigger. He comes with his fusion cannon and then his smaller cannon. Um, very detailed. Like, there's his backpack. That's part of his tank mode. Very screen accurate. So if you really want screen accurate, I mean, look, it has the Decepticon or the Megatronus Prime decal. You can't see it on there, but it's scuffed up a little bit like it was in the movie.
That's the sticker one, right?
Yeah, the little sticker one that Orion gives him. So it's these are really good, like if you want screen accurate. And here's D16 cogless versus cogged. So what a difference, right?
Yeah.
But if you want screen accurate to Transformers 1, these are your figures. Like, this is way more screen accurate than the Studio Series, though the Studio Series figures that are out right now are technically when he's got the well, I don't want to spoil it, but it's when he's in his final form, I
Hmm.
guess. So, And the same with Orion, like, that's when he's Optimus Prime. But
Yeah.
I still think that those toys aren't really screen accurate. These are screen accurate. And I think they are coming out with a Megatron and an Optimus Prime. So if you want screen accurate, these are your figures. I still
When
need.
when they don't have to compromise to make them transform, they can
Mm-mm.
be completely accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what's cool about them. Oh yeah, and then the D16 has the decal of Megatronus Prime on his arm here too. Um, my camera is not really focusing on it. But yeah, so exactly, Jeremy, you brought up a good point. Like they don't have to worry about the transforming part. So, or having an alt mode incorporated. So, that makes them nice. This one seems sturdier than Orion. So, I think maybe I just didn't put in attach his feet right. So I'm gonna have to spend more time doing that.
Mhm.
But
Do these have any die cast in it, like that Starscream we talked about?
um, I can't tell, but it kind of feels like it might. Um, Let me see if I can get his leg apart. I can. They feel heavy, but it also feels a lot like plastic. Like I didn't
Mm.
see any metal in it. Um,
'Cause I think with that Starscream, one of the images showed like what parts were die cast, so you'd
yeah.
probably be able to tell.
Yeah, I don't think it is because I know that those Flame Toys figures I used to have were die cast. I don't think this one is, but I do still think they're really cool. Like I
Mhm.
really think they did. Like I think the D16 ones are better overall than the Orions, but I wanted to get them and I did, and I want to get Bumblebee and Alita. And I think they are coming out with a Starscream TF1, which I have to get that.
Yeah.
So that's like that they already got my money and they don't even have it yet
Yeah.
out yet. So but yeah, these are really good. So I do recommend these. Like I am gonna get that Yellow Park G1 Starscream. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I was not sure honestly about buying these figures and I'm very surprised. So,
Yeah.
in a good way. So, and that's it for me.
All right. Well, cool. Um, all right. Well, let's move on then to the rest of the show.
We now return to the Transmissions Podcast.
And we're going to finish up with a little convention news. So we're going to start off. TFCon Baltimore is coming up, and they have announced that I am apologize if I butcher this name. Richard Marchek. I I tried. He was an artist with on the Transformers G1 packaging. Um, and he will be attending. Really neat seeing some of these old G1 um, packaging artists. Um, he did layouts for many of the G1 package art, including the Predacons, Headmasters, Target Masters, Power Master Seacons, and Pretenders. So you can kind of see here you have Pretenders on the image. He's going to have a Q&A panel about his time with Hasbro. So check that out if you're going to be at TFCon Baltimore. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And next up, we have an exclusive that has been announced. This is the Fans Hobby MB18A Obsidian Commander, which is their version of the Energon Optimus Prime. And this looks really cool. It's a obviously like a Nemesis version. You've got the black and the teal coloring. We also have a lot of gold, like gold back metal. Looks really nice. I'm not the biggest fan of the Energon Optimus look in general, but I have to admit this looks really good. And it's the full thing. Actually, this the smaller robot mode actually does look better than the original toy to me.
Mhm.
But you've got like the storage for the different, like the vehicles that form his arms and legs. Um, so I think this actually does look really good. This is going to be $270 and limited to 600 pieces worldwide. And it will be at the Chosen Prime booth. So if you're going to be at TFCon and you want this, make that your first stop and check it out. All right, so that's all our convention news. So we're going to go into a little bit of feedback. And this comes in from our Discord from John Forex Lovingood. And he, first of all, he apologized for no voicemail. He's one of our main voicemail senders. But he had some feedback about the Studio Series Devastator. He wrote it before the 1027 reveal, but he said he's more or less quit collecting the toys and focusing on the Robots Transformers. But Studio Series Devastator is one he might take an exception to, but only if there isn't the blatant cheating that was used on Menasor. Menasor was a skeleton that could work on its own, and all the extra bots did was bulk him up. He understands that there's some cheating that has to happen with a combiner, but the Menasor figure, which he says he feels it does look great, but the cheating bothers him, took it a bit too far. So in my mind, having a combiner means that the combined mode can't be a standalone robot without all the pieces. Even if it means that the combined mode is a little parts forming, he feels that you can still get a fascinating figure, which with each piece combining in a meaningful way to get a great combiner. That's just his 2 cents. And he's going to try to send more voicemail in the future. And I am hoping that the Studio Series Devastator does what he wants in terms of not cheating. I feel like it didn't. Obviously there's going to be some compromises, but it seems like they're really trying to not do what they did with the Minosaur. What do you think?
Like I agree. Like I really hope it's not, you know, it's not like a cheating, I'll use that in quotes, figure that it's that Devastator is a standalone figure. I'm still going to get it irregardless because I think it looks great.
Mhm.
From what we saw of it today in the reveal. So but I do hope that with the price point on all these figures, that in the engineering advancements that they've done with the toys, that it doesn't need to have like a skeleton for them to connect to.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, John, for sending that in. And if you'd like to send us feedback, we'd love to hear what you think about that Megatronus and the Devastator and any of the other reveals we talked about today. Go to transmissionspodcast.com/feedback or join our Discord at transmissionpodcast.com/Discord. And we have a channel just specifically for feedback to come into the show. So do that. We'd love to hear it. And if you send us a voicemail, we're almost guaranteed to play it unless it's spam, which we've gotten before. But
Mm-hmm.
we love to hear what your thoughts were on all that stuff. So I think that is it, and that is all we have for transmissions this week. So thank you, Char, for coming on.
You're welcome.
And as always, we like to thank our masterpiece donatrions, who are the people that donate at the highest level. And we shout them out in every show. So thank you, John Forex Lovingood, Demon Tech 82, and Steve C. So is transmissions this week. Stay tuned for alt mode on Friday. We're going to be reviewing Scarlet #5 as we get back into the Energon universe, and looking forward to that. So talk to you later. Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.